Hey guys, GrownAssNerd here, and welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about my favorite video game series, Final Fantasy.
It all began with a stone, or so the legend says. In ages past, a sentient jewel, enormous and beautiful, banished the darkness.
Alright guys, so let's begin where I began. If that makes any sense. So how I first got introduced into the Final Fantasy series was actually by a demo disc back in 1999 sometime. Back when Pizza Hut used to give out those free demo discs when you buy a certain amount of pizzas or spend a certain amount of money or whatever. And also the GamePro magazines came with a lot of free demo discs as well. So on this demo disc, I played all the games on it, and I noticed there was a Final Fantasy game on there. Now, I heard of Final Fantasy before because Final Fantasy VII was huge, it blew up, and there was a big fan base for it, but I always knew that it was a turn-based battle system, and it was something that kind of turned me off at first anyways. I wasn't too into that. I like the hack and slash, quick Mortal Kombat style video games and so on. So I really never gave it a try on my demo disc. Well, eventually, after I beat everything on the demo disc, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, Now, trying out this demo was probably the biggest turning point for me in my history of gaming. The turn-based battle system really appealed to me, and when I first summoned the Guardian Leviathan, I just lost my shit. That right there, seeing this huge creature being summoned and tearing your enemies apart was just amazing to me. I'd never seen anything like it before. So I actually ended up playing through the entire demo multiple times, and I couldn't wait till this game came out. I was beyond belief that a turn-based battle game could be so good, and I was surprised I was a huge fan of it. So after this game, Final Fantasy VIII, finally released, I went right away and picked it up at the store and started playing the hell out of it. Loved it every moment. It was my very first Final Fantasy, so it holds a lot of nostalgia for me, obviously. And one of the first things I noticed about Final Fantasy VIII, how it differed from the demo, was that you didn't get Leviathan right off the bat as a summoning guardian, or a guardian force is what they called him in Final Fantasy VIII. And I think you get Ifrit first, I believe, if I remember correctly. But I think they made a really smart decision by having Leviathan as your summon in the demo, like right off the bat, because he still sticks with me. He's like my favorite summon, my favorite guardian of all time, because the way he comes crashing down with the waves and stuff, the whole cinematic scene, it was really amazing. It still blows me away today. Now, even the mini card game in this game really got me going. I quite enjoyed that as well. I collected as many cards as I could, and I played the hell out of it. So after playing hours and hours of Final Fantasy VIII and finally beating the hell out of it, I really wanted to go back and play the older games, because Final Fantasy VIII at that time was the newest one. This was back in 1999. So obviously I wanted to go back and play Final Fantasy VII. I knew Final Fantasy VII had a huge fan base, but like I said, I'd never tried it before because of the turn-based battle system. But obviously now I'm hooked. I want to play the next Final Fantasy. We're going to have to roll it back and play them, in the older versions of them. So right away, after I finished Final Fantasy VIII, I hit up Final Fantasy VII. Now, right off the bat, booting up Final Fantasy VII, I noticed that the graphics were a little bit more blocky. The cinematics weren't as smooth as Final Fantasy VIII's was, but I understood that, and it was not a big deal for me because I really like the story and the gameplay. So far, so good. I don't mind bad graphics. Even nowadays, I don't mind the graphics. I know we're getting a remake anyways, but that probably won't be for like years to come. But anyways, Final Fantasy VII's graphics didn't bother me one bit going back in time. I knew it was only going to get, I don't want to say worse, but more old school, I guess I should say. But I played through it, and I actually really liked some of the features, the materia features. The battle system was still the same, so I loved that. The summons were still badass, still awesome. Altogether, just starting up this game and playing it from the beginning, I knew it was going to be another awesome hit for me. So not just the graphics are a little bit different for Final Fantasy VII compared to Final Fantasy VIII, but also the size of the characters when you're roaming around. So when you're in the battle system, your characters look like normal-sized human beings like on Final Fantasy VIII. But while you're roaming around, the Final Fantasy characters look like midgets, basically. And at first, it kind of bothered me just a little bit, but like I said, I'm not much on graphics. I'm more about the story and the gameplay. If that's there, I can put up with like any kind of blocky graphics you throw at me. So, I mean, hell, look at Minecraft. It works for a lot of people, so as long as the gameplay and the functionality is there, it works. So obviously this is another Final Fantasy game I truly love, and I remember staying up real late at night playing this game. Not on school nights, of course. But this game really brings back a lot of nostalgia for me every time I play it. And the summons were still there, the battle system was still there, just like Final Fantasy VIII, and I just think, thank God I played that demo of Final Fantasy VIII back in '99, because it really opened up my eyes and started to turn me into a Final Fantasy fanboy. So anyways, I've beaten now, I beat 8, then I went back and I beat 7. So now obviously I'm looking for the next Final Fantasy game to play, so I'm like, okay, well let's roll back to 6, and that's when I found out that the Japanese versions had, you know, swapped up, you know, 3, 4, yeah, all that whole debacle. It gets really confusing. Japan put out 1, 2, 3, 4, and the US just decided to skip a bunch because they're idiots. Anyways, I figured I'd go back and play 1 and up, so I went back and started dabbling in the PlayStation Origins, like Final Fantasy 1 and 2 and up. But not soon after I beat 7, Final Fantasy 9 was announced, and I was like, holy crap. You know, like, this game looks amazing, huge adventure, but just a slight weird thing about it, you know, they're going back to the small midget versions on this game. And at first, you know, I was kind of like, why are they going back to that? You know, I kind of like the Final Fantasy VIII style where there's, you know, regular sized characters running around. But I mean, Final Fantasy VII was still awesome, so I mean, I wasn't too bummed out about it, but it was just one of those things I was like, I wonder why they're doing that. It's like, oh well, you know, I'm still gonna buy it and play it because Final Fantasy is awesome so far, and I can put up with that. So day 1, I pick it up. I remember picking it up late at night at Kmart. I think I begged my mom to go buy it for me, and we brought it home, and I plugged it in right away, and oh my gosh, looking at those opening cinematics and everything, it's just jaw-dropping. It's amazing. I was like, I knew I was in for one hell of an adventure. Seriously, Final Fantasy IX still stands as one of the greatest adventure games of all time. So Final Fantasy IX really holds a special place in my heart. It was the third, well, kind of I want to say it's like the third Final Fantasy game I played out of the series. I know I beat 8, and I beat 7, and I dabbled in 1 and 2, and, you know, 9 got announced, and I quickly jumped to that. And that one was by far the best one I had played so far. I know what you're saying. Final Fantasy VII is the best. A lot of people think Final Fantasy VII is the best, but that's not the case with me. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy IX just had it all. It wasn't as dark and brutal as 7, but the whole adventure and the characters, man, it stuck with me. It's pretty good. It's really good. So anyways, Final Fantasy X was announced for the PlayStation 2. So awesome graphics. They're going to have voiceovers. You actually hear the characters talk. I didn't really care about that at the time, but I mean, hey, it's moving up. It's a Final Fantasy game. I'm excited about it. But as I was reading like the reviews and magazines and stuff before it even released, they were talking about it. And it kind of came off as it was being targeted towards female gamers. And I was kind of turned off by that at first. I was like, you know, what, did girl gamers, I mean, did girl gamers even exist back then? I mean, I'm sure they did, but did they not like the previous Final Fantasies, or were they not, like, girly enough, or did they not have, like, girl-like features? I mean, I just didn't get the point. I mean, I don't have anything against girls or girl gamers or anything like that, but I didn't see the point in making, like, a huge deal out of Final Fantasy being like more girly or trying to confusing. I didn't get why they had to go out of their way to appease girl gamers and try to get them into the Final Fantasy series, because I feel like plenty of girls were already into the series just fine just the way it was. So anyways, now we have this new character, Yuna, and this dumbass blonde guy. And I think you got some crazy fruity guy named Waka, and then you have the crazy ADHD hyperactive Riku chick that just as annoying as the rest of them. This whole game was like a terrible flop for me. I don't understand how they came up with this crap. But nonetheless, it's a Final Fantasy game, so I had to buy it. I picked it up and started playing it, and I was pretty disappointed with it. But I was like, yeah, these characters are annoying as hell, but let's just keep pressing on. Maybe it's got a really good storyline to it. Maybe the gameplay is really good. Let's play the card game and have fun with it. Little did I know that this game was crap. So let's check out the card game. Wait, what's this? This is not the card game at all. This is not Tetra. This is... what the hell is this crap? Blitzball? Who the hell came up with this idea? Was this like soccer underwater or something? I mean, if you guys are into this Blitzball crap, I mean, I understand. Maybe this was your first Final Fantasy game, so this is all you know. Or it holds some nostalgia for you, but this Blitzball crap was idiotic to me. I just did not like it at all. I'm sorry, it sucks. So we've got some annoying ass characters. We have some dumb underwater soccer ball thing, and we have no card game, but thank God the battle system is at least okay, or the same. But nevertheless, let's press on with this game and see where it leads us. Let's go out and explore the world. Let's see what kind of creatures are out there. Let's see what kind of side quests we can do. Let's just wander around, be free, and grind and level up, and eventually we'll go back to the main storyline and beat the game. Nope, that's not the case. This game guides you holds your hand and guides you the entire way. You're walking through hallways in this game, like invisible hallways. You're just going in a straight line, playing the storyline. Like every time I turned around, like, oh, I'm gonna go adventure here, go adventure there, I couldn't. I was just blocked in. Every time I went around the corner, I was in another boss battle for the main storyline. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is like storyline after storyline. I don't really care. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna beat this game in like 3 days because it won't let me do anything else but progress through the main storyline. I can't go off adventuring, and God, this game sucks. I'm getting just pissed off just thinking about it right now, just talking about it, recording this video. I'm getting just even more pissed off. Like, I typed up this whole to refresh my memory on this game. Oh my gosh. So I blew through this whole game, obviously, because it made you walk in a straight line for the storyline. Then we get the next game, Final Fantasy X-2. What the hell? Is this a joke? No way in hell. I couldn't believe it. They were making out of all the Final Fantasy games, this is the game they're going to give a sequel. Final Fantasy X. 10-2. 10-2. That makes no freaking sense. Okay, maybe they learned their lesson, and they are pretty much like doing this to like redo the game, maybe. Because they felt it was so terrible that, okay, let's make a sequel to it, but change everything up, make the characters more interesting, and fix the horrible gameplay style. Let's fix everything. Let's add the card game. Let's get rid of Blitzball. Let's make the story interesting and make the characters less idiotic. Nope, it's just the same damn characters, but with less clothes. I don't know who the hell they were targeting this time. I guess they were trying to target more males by having less clothes on Yuna and stuff. She's just like this sheltered child in the first game that knows nothing. She's an idiot. And then all of a sudden she's on this 10-2 and she's wearing less clothes. She's got 2 guns. She's like... Alright, enough talk about Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 because it's just pissing me off and I don't feel like being in a bad mood right now. Final Fantasy XI was announced as an online MMORPG. So that was pretty exciting because I liked playing with other players and other people, so I jumped on that game, had a lot of fun. I remember, I have a lot of memories from that game. So I remember one of the first times booting up in this game, I was playing with another friend that I had in school, and he started in another starter town, so I wanted to travel over there and join up with him and play with him. I don't know why I shouldn't remake my character and start in his town, but anyways, I started making the long journey to his town, and I remember coming across this little bunny-like creature, and I'm like, huh, what is this thing? You know, I've been running for a while. I'm like, you know, I wonder if I could attack this guy and just, you know, just for fun, just kill him real quick. You know, he's real tiny, he's like this, and I'm just this tall human guy with a big giant sword, and I'm like, I'll just, you know, one hit him. And I go and I smack him, and I think I said miss, or I probably did like 2 damage or something. And all of a sudden, that little rabbit turns around and just one hits me, just KOs me right there for like all my health. And I'm like, what in the hell just happened? Meanwhile, my friend's laughing at me through chat because I told him about it. I was like, you know, hey, I'm just gonna hit this little thing. And he's like, oh yeah, go ahead and do it. Well, little did I know, being the noob I was, that this little creature was like 30 levels above me, and I was no match. Because Final Fantasy 11 was a brutal game. You have to be really careful because you'd wait for hours for a party to join up. I'd be waiting for like an hour and a half before like a white mage or something like that, or a tank. And if you weren't, if your party wasn't really that great, you'd end up de-leveling. That was really harsh. I didn't really like it at the time, but now that I think about all the good memories and stuff, I felt like it was a good thing because it made the game really challenging. So after Final Fantasy XI drained my pockets, I went on to Final Fantasy XII after that was announced, and the gameplay trailers and everything that we had saw through the news looked really great. It looks like it was going back to maybe its roots, gameplay style wise and stuff, and gotten away from that Final Fantasy X crap. Thank God. So the game released off, and first off, the battle system I wasn't too turned on by because it would kind of it was trying to like simulate an MMR. I didn't like the battle system on Final Fantasy XII too much because it seemed like it was trying to act like it was an online game. When you looked at pictures of it in magazines and stuff, it kind of looked like Final Fantasy XI did. So it was like you were playing online, but you really weren't online. It was a single player game. I didn't like that battle system too much, but you know, I could take that hit rather than it being like Final Fantasy X was with the dumb characters and the horrible storyline and all that. The storyline was a lot better, 100 times better. The characters were 100 times more interesting, although the main character was kind of goofy and kind of an idiot like Tidus was in Final Fantasy X. But, you know, I kind of swept it under the rug. I let that slide because at least they're taking a little bit of a step in the right direction here. So we're coming back up. You know, we're right here at 9. We're way up here with Final Fantasy 9. And the Final Fantasy X, we just went freaking like nosedive right in the freaking dirt. So with 12 or 11, we kind of like hit like a medium plane because it really wasn't. I still don't really consider that much of a Final Fantasy game because the characters. I know we're rolling back in time here. Final Fantasy 11 really didn't. Those characters really didn't strike me as much as Final Fantasy characters. It seemed like a different game, just with a Final Fantasy name to it. It's still a good game, but anyway, Final Fantasy 12 came out, and we're starting to climb back up here with the series. So then we hit Final Fantasy 13. So when Final Fantasy 13 was announced, it looked like they were coming up with a female version of Cloud Strife. So we had Lightning. First we had Cloud in Final Fantasy 7, now we have Lightning. So you can see where they're going with this. They're trying to make this a smash hit, and yeah, it didn't happen. Now the storyline wasn't too bad. The storyline was a little confusing for me. I don't know if it was confusing for most of you guys, but for me it was a tad bit confusing, but interesting. And Lightning, I like her. I like her attitude, her style, and whatnot. But the gameplay, the battle system, holy crap, it's the worst one so far. Like with the battle system, like it made me roll back and think of Final Fantasy X. Like looking back at Final Fantasy X compared to 13, I was like, wow, Final Fantasy X wasn't that bad. At least it had good music and it had a good battle system. But Final Fantasy 13 battle system, like totally threw it off for me. Like it was so terrible. It was a little bit confusing, and then once I figured it out, it was dumb to me. It felt really terrible, and I hated the game for that. I had to force my way through it to beat it, and then when it started coming off with some stupid sequels, I can't believe that Final Fantasy did this. Like, Final Fantasy X was the worst game for me, and they made a sequel of it. Now, Final Fantasy 13, which became the new worst game in the series for me, spit out 2 more sequels. And, you know, I didn't even play those 2 sequels, so we're not even going to mention those or talk about those because I didn't even play them, because that's how bad Final Fantasy 13 turned me off. And I feel like it turned off a lot of people from what I read online. Not surprised at all, and I don't know what possessed them to make 2 more sequels. I guess they were trying to make up for the first one being so bad, but so what I've heard, it just made it worse. But I'm not even gonna try it. Maybe someday I'll go back and try it, but as of right now, they're not on my backlog. So now eventually back to the online world. Final Fantasy 14 was announced, and this game looked pretty darn amazing. And I was on it day one. Day one it released, I booted it up and I played it, and it seemed a little shady there, a little clunky. I remember setting up my bazaar and setting my character down in the town, selling stuff, and I went through the whole week, and I didn't progress very well with it. It didn't really strike with me. I can't really point out anything terrible about it because I only played it for a week. I guess I got bored of it. I played it for like a week and then I stopped. It's strange, you know, I barely remember it. I guess it just wasn't memorable. That's the word I'm looking for, memorable. So it wasn't that memorable, and I heard that soon after that week I played through and got bored of it. I heard soon after that a lot of the team got fired because it did so terrible. And I kind of feel bad for them, you know, because I'm pretty sure they worked pretty hard on that game, but it just wasn't up to the standards that the Final Fantasy fan base wanted it to be. And another thing that kind of bored me with it was that they picked the same races from Final Fantasy 11, so it was more like a Final Fantasy 11-2, if you will. I wish they had picked more Final Fantasy-like characters because, like I said, with the Final Fantasy 11, I felt like there really weren't Final Fantasy type of races and characters. They just didn't seem too interesting to me. They seemed kind of dull. They still do, but I mean, Final Fantasy 7 was a really fun game. Eventually, they revamped Final Fantasy 14. Like, they fired the whole dev team and hired new guys, and they actually made it pretty decent. It's still running now, and yeah, every now and then I'll pop back in and try to play a little bit, but I just don't have the time because World of Warcraft was in my life back then and consumed it. So you have that. That was a lot better, a lot smoother. So the PvP, man. Final Fantasy 14 just doesn't have the right PvP system set up. At least right now they don't. Okay, so finally we are here to Final Fantasy 15 right now. As of right now, is the current Final Fantasy single player game. Well, it has some cooperative play in it too now, but Final Fantasy 15 for me, I remember back in its early development when it was called something else. I forget what it was called, but I had been following it for a while and it looked amazing, and it changed a lot, and finally it wasn't supposed to be Final Fantasy 15, but finally it got moved to the front and it was called Final Fantasy 15. Almost trashed, I believe. When I was keeping tabs on it, it was trashed, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, no, we'll take this, we'll make this Final Fantasy 15. Anyways, finally when it came out, I got it, of course, day one, being the Final Fantasy fanboy that I am. And, you know, okay, so what do I think of this sausage fest? Well, it's like basically a boy band running around killing monsters. It's like Monster Hunter, but with an all-boy band. Now, I'm not knocking on the game. I think it's kind of funny that it's just one big, huge sausage fest, but I would have liked them to introduce maybe one female character, not Highwind. Highwind was really a badass character, but she wasn't like in your party for long. She wasn't a major character that you could take control of whenever you wanted to and really grind with her. I mean, the 4 guys aren't bad. I mean, they're all right. One's kind of like the stupid hyper kind of Riku, and the other one's like a smart nerd, and the other one's like your bulky tank guy, and then you have your main character that is really cool and you want to be just like him, right? But altogether, this game is really badass. It's really awesome. The gameplay, the music. I love how you could go back into your car and listen to like all the old Final Fantasy music. I definitely unlocked all of those. I love the combat style because it reminded me a lot of Kingdom Hearts, which is a series that we'll talk in another video about. I really love the Kingdom Hearts series, so good on them for adding that kind of combat styled gameplay. It's like a hack and slash. I did miss the turn-based battle system. I wouldn't mind if they returned to that. But if they want to stick with the hack and slash Kingdom Hearts style gameplay, as I'm calling it, I'm totally fine with that either way. But I wouldn't mind if a turn-based battle came back either. So with this game, the storyline, I have a little bit of a problem with the storyline. It's a little bit confusing because I'm telling you right now, when it first came out, I went through it. I adventured a lot, you know, but eventually I wanted to get through the storyline because it was interesting, and I know everyone else was beating it and they were talking about the storyline, and I would always have to hide from it or like hold my ears shut because I didn't want to hear about the storyline. So finally I went, okay, I'll play through the storyline. I went through the storyline, the whole game, I beat it, and I was still left wondering, like, what the hell happened? You know, did I miss something? Was I like sleeping during a couple spots? What happened at this part, at this section? What happened to this guy? What happened to him when he disappeared? You know, and I was like, all these like plot holes and stuff. I was kind of confused. I was like, man, what am I like? Am I like an idiot? Did I just forget something? Did I black out like in certain parts of this game? No, that's not the case. The case is that you had DLC coming up that filled in all the little plot holes that were hidden out there, and I can't believe they did that. I feel like that's a really bad move on their part, on Square Enix. You know, this Final Fantasy, I hate it for that. I don't hate the game. I like the game, but I hate the decision they made to do that. Like, you didn't get the whole storyline if you just beat the game straight out flat without DLC. So I had the DLC pass, but so all the games DLC was going to be available to me as soon as they were uploaded to the server or whatever. But I didn't feel like that was necessary. They should have had the whole storyline set up for you the first time playing out. If you want to add DLC to this game, you know, make it like costumes or side adventures or quests or something like that. But I hated the fact that in order to get the entire story of this, you had to buy the DLCs. That was really stupid. I'm still pissed off about that now. I hope they don't continue with that kind of behavior in the future. So altogether, Final Fantasy 15 definitely ranks up really high. I feel like it's getting up there. It's kind of skyrocketing. That DLC crap is kind of like, you know, I'm not too crazy about that, but altogether, it's definitely a big step in the right direction. Final Fantasy 15 is awesome, and no doubt, I'm still playing it now, so that tells you something right there. So in the end, the reason I love Final Fantasy is not only because of the nostalgia. Nostalgia's hard to beat for anything, but because of the adventures they take you on and the characters they bring you. It's unlike any other series out there for me. I've played, you know, Chrono Cross, Trigger, a lot of other JRPGs now ever since I got into the Final Fantasy series because of the whole adventure, turn-based battle system and stuff like that. Like any game that has that, I kind of jump on it. And yeah, they're all really good, but none of them quite stick with me like the adventures I had in Final Fantasy. And that's why I can say that Final Fantasy right now is my favorite series of all time in video games. Alright guys, as usual, thanks for watching. Comment down below on what your first Final Fantasy game was and what you think of the series and which one is your favorite. I'm really curious as to what everyone's favorite Final Fantasy is, because everyone's different. Some people really love Final Fantasy X. Some people really love Final Fantasy 13. I don't really understand that, but I understand that it can hold a lot of nostalgia for some people, and it might be just their style of gameplay. And I know a lot of Final Fantasy 7 fans are out there. So let me know if you enjoy the series of Final Fantasy, or if you prefer another series out there, like Phantasy Star or whatever. As always, I appreciate every comment, like, and subscription. So, as always, I'll see you next time. Final Fantasy X still sucks.